Hi everyone and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Kai.
So today we're going to be talking about Sun Moon Lake.
Yeah.
Have you ever visited this part of Taiwan?
Yeah, I went one time and I actually attended an event which we're going to be talking about.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
So it was really, the scenery is really beautiful.
Right.
It's down in the center of Taiwan. There's a lot of mountains, a lot of thick forests.
That's everywhere in Taiwan, really.
True.
But yeah, I've also been there. I stayed in a place called, I think it's pronounced Jiji. It's like a small town nearby. They've got a famous collapsed temple and a railway station.
Wait, a famous collapsed temple?
Yeah, it collapsed in an earthquake, so it's kind of all broken and they've roped it off. If people go and see how this thing is almost broken in half and sunk into the ground.
Okay.
It's interesting. And we visited Sun Moon Lake. We took a boat. We went around. And we're going to talk about a lot of the stuff we can see around Sun Moon Lake, as well as this really cool event, and I'll ask you more questions as we go on. So let's read through today's article, find out what it's all about.
Reading.
Sun Moon Lake, an amazing autumn adventure. It's 6:45 a.m. at Sun Moon Lake. Ordinarily, the area is quiet at this time, but not today. Thousands of people are by the water's edge. They're chatting excitedly in brightly colored swimming caps. These people are here to swim 3,000 meters across Taiwan's largest lake. The Sun Moon Lake Swimming Carnival takes place every September. The event is the biggest of its kind in Taiwan and attracts up to 25,000 participants every year. They start at Cha Wu Pier and swim across the water to the Aboriginal village of Ida Shao. Anyone who is over 10 years old can take part. However, you should be a good swimmer. It's also a good idea to spend some time training in unheated pools before the event. Don't worry about getting too tired. You'll swim with a float. There will also be floating platforms. That way, you can get out if you need to. So grab your swimming goggles and enjoy this fun-filled event.
Okay, so day one of our article starts with a bit of description. And it says it's 6:45 a.m. at Sun Moon Lake. Now that is way too early for me.
It's a bit early.
I will often wake up, but whether I want to be outside being active at 6:45 a.m., I'm not sure, but I guess it's probably the best time of day.
And this is going to be very active at 6:45, as we see when we go through the article. So yeah, it's
early.
It's a bit too early.
Yeah, what's happening then?
So the article continues and says, ordinarily, the area is quiet at this time, but not today. So we've got an adverb here, ordinarily, and it's a really useful word. The adjective for it is ordinary. It means usual, normal, typical. So ordinarily describes the way things are normally or usually or typically done. So for example, Joanna is not ordinarily such a tired person. I wonder if she's sick.
Okay, so yeah, she's normally very active. Today she isn't, something's wrong. And so normally Sun Moon Lake at 6:45 a.m. is probably quiet. You know, some birds, some fish, a few early morning cyclists, people on bikes. But what is going on today? Well, we see in the article that thousands of people are by the water's edge. So they'll all be lined up or in a group.
Big groups.
It's a big group, okay. Right on the edge of the water. What is going on?
Well, the article says they're chatting excitedly in brightly colored swimming caps. So, swimming caps, they're probably going to go in the water.
Yes. Presumably they're in swimming costumes, trunks, maybe wetsuits?
Oh, I don't think it's quite cold enough for a wetsuit.
Okay.
But people do often wear much more covering clothes because of the sunburn.
Right.
I'll talk about the sunburn.
Okay.
But swimming caps. I don't usually wear a swimming cap, do you?
I never wore swimming caps in the UK. You don't need to when you go in a public UK swimming pool.
Yeah.
But when I came to Taiwan, I found out that you had to. And I've just started to play with my son in the swimming pool, like get him in the water and used to things. And yeah, we both have to wear the caps. It's just part of the rules.
I was going to say, he's so little. Does he have to wear one?
He does have to wear one, as well as special like water nappies to stop him from making a mess of the pool. But so normally, you've done this? You wore a swimming cap?
Yeah. So I attended this event, and the swimming cap actually is a little special. You have to wear it because people are used to wearing swimming caps in Taiwan.
Right.
But also, it had a really small computer chip. Well, not computer chip, but a little digital chip, so the event staff could keep track of swimmers.
So it's maybe got like GPS or some kind of locating.
I think it's a little radio frequency chip, RFID.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very high tech.
All right, well, we'll find out a bit more about what's going on here. We know they're swimming. What's going on? We see these people are here to swim 3,000 meters across Taiwan's largest lake.
Yeah.
So we said that the people swim 3,000 meters along Sun Moon Lake. A meter is a measure of distance. It can also be used for height and other things like length. It's just how far two things are away from each other. With a meter, we can also talk about centimeters. That's a smaller measurement. There are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. We can also say kilometers, which is a long measure. 1,000 meters make 1 kilometer. So we could say this is a 3-kilometer swim. Here's another example of how we can use meters to talk about height. Pat is 1 meter and 68 centimeters tall. All right, so they're swimming across the lake. What is this event? What's it all for?
Yeah, so the article tells us that the Sun Moon Lake Swimming Carnival takes place every September. So this use of carnival here, it's a noun and it's a party, usually outside, almost always outside, to mark something special like a holiday, or in this case, like some big exciting function.
Event, exactly. There are some famous carnivals around the world. Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, this one is
Venice.
based off of, they're both based off of religious carnivals.
Right.
Or religious events.
Yeah, it was kind of like the last day you could eat meat before you went on a 40-day period where you couldn't eat meat. So it's the last day, let's make it a big special party before we all have to kind of be good and just eat simple food for 40 days.
Yeah.
So we see that this carnival takes place in September. The phrasal verb take place means to occur or to happen, and it's often used to introduce the time or the date or the location when or where an event takes place. The party takes place at my house. The game will take place in the big stadium. The exam will take place at 11 o'clock on Friday morning. Something like that. So it's a good phrase for introducing that kind of information.
Yeah, and so that introduced when the event happens, but now we have a little bit more information about it too, because the article tells us that the event is the biggest of its kind in Taiwan and attracts up to 25,000 participants every year.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Did they all swim at once, or is it like, okay, the first 100 and then the next 100, or it's kind of, okay.
Yeah, it goes in groups, in little batches, because you're not allowed to sign up for this event as one person. You have to have a team of at least 5.
Okay.
And you should stay with your team, because it's not a race.
Right.
It's not like who can go fastest all the way across the lake to Itatao. It's who is, enjoying the company of their team, swimming slowly 3 kilometers across the lake.
Okay, sounds pretty good.
So you have all these participants, but it's not too chaotic. It's not too messy.
That's good.
Yeah. So we've been talking about events a lot. An event is a nice short little word that is really useful. It's a noun that means something that happens. So it can be planned or not planned. You'll often hear people talk about the news as current events. Some of those are planned things, meetings between countries. Some of them are unplanned, like the virus that everyone is always talking about.
That was a big event.
And it was not planned. It was just news. It was just something, a current event. So we've also got things like the Sun Moon Lake Swimming Carnival.
Right.
That is a planned event.
Yeah.
They know every September they're going to have it. They know this is how we sign people up. This is how we tell everybody what to do.
Yeah, this is the whole thing of the event, go from here to here.
Yeah, it's very organized and planned.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so for an example sentence, we could say, I was going to go to the market, but there was an event taking place in the street and causing traffic.
Okay, so it could be an event could be a protest, it could just be a party, it could be all sorts. Those are all examples of events.
Yeah.
And we say this event is the biggest of its kind.
Yeah, so biggest.
So by calling something the biggest, we are using a superlative adjective here. So when we've got adjectives, we often want to compare one thing to another thing or several other things using this adjective. Which has more of this quality? Which has less of this quality? And which have the most of this quality? So that's where we get an adjective, a comparative, and a superlative. So the superlative is the something, the biggest, the tallest. It means it has the most. Nothing has more of this particular quality than the noun or object we are describing. So for a superlative, you always have to use the in front of it. Then you take the adjective and you change it in some way. Small words, you add est. For example, tallest. John is the tallest boy in our class. If it's a longer adjective of 2 or more syllables, you add the most and then leave the adjective as it is. For example, Pat is the most handsome teacher in the entire world. Not true, but it is a good example of a superlative. If the adjective ends with a Y, you take off the Y and you put in an IEST. So cloudy becomes the cloudiest, for example. The cloudiest day I can remember. And here is another good example. This is one of the best restaurants I've ever been to. Best is the superlative form of good. Good, better, the best, and bad, worse, the worst. You can see lots more examples in our magazine. And we say this big event, the biggest event of its kind, attracts a lot of people.
Yeah, so attract is one of our other words to focus on. Attract is a verb. It means to cause something to go to something else or to cause someone to go somewhere. So it can also have to do with making someone be interested in something. So we have an example sentence of the sounds of the band attracted listeners from across the park. So this just means people could hear a little bit of it and it made them interested. So they went over to where the band was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To kind of see what was going on. Okay. And we say that up to 25,000, I think that was as many people as could take part. So we use up to as a phrase to say as many as, but no more than. We can have less than, but we can't go higher than this particular number. It's used to state the maximum amount. For example, a car park, you might say we can have only up to 300 cars in this parking lot. You can't have any more than 300. So if these people we say it takes, 25,000 participants? Up to 25,000 participants.
Yeah, and participant comes from the verb participate, which means to do something,
to take part.
So a participant is a person who takes part in or becomes involved in some activity or event.
Yeah, so you were a participant.
I was.
In this swimming activity.
A very happy participant.
Right, so what happens here? Let's try and get an idea of how this event goes.
Yeah, so everybody starts, like we said, in groups. They start at Chawu Pier and swim across the water to the Aboriginal village of Itathau.
Okay, that's cool. So a pier it's going to be like, is it stretched out into the water, a long bit of wood or stone?
Or concrete.
Yeah, it's basically just something you can tie boats up to it, you can walk out, you could fish on the end of it. You'll see them around all kinds of lakes or rivers or at the sea.
At the ocean, yeah.
Exactly. So where are we going to?
So we're going to the Aboriginal village of Itathau. So this is an adjective. The word indigenous is very similar and it's more often used nowadays, but both words mean the first people who lived in a place or the first something, the original something from a place. So Taiwan has a lot of groups like this, including the Truku, who are from Taroko Gorge near Hualien. There's also Bunun and Tayao, and they live in the mountains.
Okay.
Or they're from the central mountains. So this group, the Thao, is around Sun Moon Lake.
Okay, so they are an Aboriginal or an indigenous group.
Yeah.
Okay, here we're talking about going to an Aboriginal village. A village is a place with houses where people live and other buildings there that they use for business or community meetings, something like that, public buildings and private ones. A village is smaller than a town or city, and the houses in the village are typically smaller as well. You won't find big skyscrapers or apartment buildings in a village. There are fewer roads, maybe only 2 or 3 main roads and a few small streets, and there's nothing really high-tech or too fancy. There won't be a big companies with a headquarters out there. You might have a few shops, a local market, a train station, and a few other sort of restaurants where the people go to eat. Here's an example sentence using the word village. We drove out of the city and stayed the night in a small country village.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, we often think of villages as being sort of more in the country and not too close to any cities.
Yeah, definitely. So going back to the event, we know like someone like me could participate.
Of course,
that was easy. But actually, anyone who is over 10 years old can take part.
Cool.
Yeah. When we talked about the number of participants and we talked about participate, Pat and I both said take part in the event. So take part is a phrasal verb and it just means the same thing as participate, to join in an activity. So we saw that even a 10-year-old could participate, but is that just any 10-year-old?
Not quite.
Okay.
So as long as you're 10 or older, yes, you can take part. But as the article says, however, you should be a good swimmer. Do you have to prove this? Do you have to kind of show anything?
No.
So, okay.
You don't have to prove anything, but you are required to bring some kind of flotation device.
Okay.
So you can't just jump in. You have to have like a ring, a float ring, or I brought a ball in the back, like a floaty ball, because I didn't want to spend money to buy a kickboard,
a really big,
a little foam board,
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? What else do we know about taking part in the race?
Well,
event.
Yeah, not really a race, but it's also a good idea to spend some time training in unheated pools before the event, because a lake is not heated. It might not be comfortable if you're only used to swimming in a very nice warm pool.
Inside a center. Yeah, you want an unheated pool, so it's kind of the natural temperature of whatever the sun or no sun makes of the water.
Right, because even though it's September, which is usually pretty warm, you're starting at 6:45 a.m.
Early.
So it's a little chilly. It's a bit cold until you get used to it.
Sure.
So it's a good idea to practice like it says.
Right, but don't worry about getting too tired you'll swim with a float. So as Kai mentioned, you carry a float. This is a light object that floats on water. It's one you hold on to when you're learning to swim, but also something you can take with you on this kind of event to stay safe and make sure that you can stay above the water.
Yeah, and it lets you rest a little bit.
Right, you could blow it up. It could be something that's made out of that sort of expanded foam that you can hold on to. I suppose it could even be a piece of wood, but I imagine they'll be using something a little bit more designed than just a piece of random wood that they found.
They don't want you to just go in
with a bit of
trash.
tree. Okay, but this isn't the only thing that keeps people up.
That's right. There will also be floating platforms, and on the platforms they have some lifeguards watching.
Excellent.
Also along the whole course, the whole 3 kilometers, there are people in boats just monitoring, watching, and making sure everyone not only is still floating, but that they look comfortable, that they don't look too nervous or stressed from the long swim.
So the article talked about the platforms and said that way you can get out if you need to. So if you want to break, something like that. Did you get out when you were swimming?
No, I didn't. I just floated with my float, and because I was in the same, just, sometimes kick harder, sometimes just sort of grab my friend's foot or something. But because I stayed in the same position, I got a really bad sunburn, actually.
Oh, on like kind of one half.
Yeah, just my back. My back and the back of my legs. So if you do this event, in the article we don't talk about sunscreen, but I'm recommending to you, carry some sunscreen. Put it on even in the middle of swimming.
Sounds a very smart idea.
Yeah, it's a bright place.
Okay.
But yeah, so the article says, it doesn't talk about sunscreen, but it does say, so grab your swimming goggles and enjoy this fun-filled event. Yeah, so in addition to the sunscreen, swimming goggles are like glasses, but they have a rubber or plastic edge that fits against your skin, and it keeps water out of your eyes.
Pretty important.
People will often use them if they're swimming in the ocean because it's salty.
Absolutely,
or in a pool because the water has some chemicals to keep it clean.
Yeah, again, the swimming pool near where I live, you need to wear goggles there. Not just for going underwater and seeing, you just need to wear them.
Really?
Yeah, that's true. So we said we have to grab them.
Yeah, grab is a verb and it means to take something quickly or casually with your hand. So you can like grab a person if Pat's about to go in the street and there's a car. I might grab him. But you could also do it in a more casual way. The example sentence says, "Would you grab that pillow from the sofa and bring it to me outside?"
Yeah, just pick it up, bring it. We can also use grab, like grab this and head out. It just means basically take it with you. Yeah, take these goggles with you and presumably a towel and your sunscreen and head off to Sun Moon Lake.
Yeah, so that brings us to the end of the article. So it's time for today's For You chat question.
For You chat.
So today's question is, have you ever taken part in a big sports event? What was it like?
Well, this kind of counts, but I already talked about it. So another event I participated in is kind of a sports event, kind of a cultural event. And as we record this, it's about to happen right now, Dragon Boat Festival.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're recording this early.
Yeah. So 端午节 has the big boats on the river looking like dragons. And it's a sporting event because it's a competition. It's a race.
And you row?
You row. So at a previous company I worked for, we had a team. We had to practice for like 3 months ahead of time so that we could all row in the same rhythm with each other.
Yep.
And that way we could move quickly and efficiently. But we had a lot of fun. Didn't win.
Oh, well, never mind. I mean, there are some pretty trained up professional teams going to these.
There are the university teams that just practice nonstop.
Right.
There's some other big ones.
Yeah. So if I watch an event, am I taking part?
Ooh,
Kinda.
in a certain sense.
I've watched a lot of big sporting events. I haven't really joined in any. Never mind, I still have time. But there we go. So that's all the time we have for today. But join us again tomorrow for some more information about Sun Moon Lake. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Bye.
Sun Moon Lake, an amazing autumn adventure. It's 6:45 a.m. at Sun Moon Lake. Ordinarily, the area is quiet at this time, but not today. Thousands of people are by the water's edge. They're chatting excitedly in brightly colored swimming caps. These people are here to swim 3,000 meters across Taiwan's largest lake. The Sun Moon Lake Swimming Carnival takes place every September. The event is the biggest of its kind in Taiwan and attracts up to 25,000 participants every year. They start at Cha Wu Pier and swim across the water to the Aboriginal village of Ida Shao. Anyone who is over 10 years old can take part. However, you should be a good swimmer. It's also a good idea to spend some time training in unheated pools before the event. Don't worry about getting too tired. You'll swim with a float. There will also be floating platforms. That way, you can get out if you need to. So grab your swimming goggles and enjoy this fun-filled event.
Vocabulary Review. Ordinarily. Marie doesn't ordinarily drink coffee, but today she had a cup at breakfast. Meter. Max threw the ball 30 meters from one end of the garden to the other. Event. The town held a special event to raise money for homeless people. Attract. This festival attracts thousands of people from across Taiwan every year. Village. Emily grew up in a small village, but she moved to a big city when she turned 18. Grab. Robert didn't have time to make breakfast, so he grabbed some fruit as he left the house.
字汇小补帖
Carnival. Participant. Aboriginal.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是www.english4u.net www.english4u.net